All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Fucking baby, let's get grip, target that shit!
Don't wait till the night before Christmas to be good.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 6 of the 10th annual 12 Podcasts of Christmas. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Francois Nation.
I'm Andrew Sorsdahl.
I'm Lance Vance Dance, the secondary protagonist turned antagonist from Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
That's a good deep cut. And we've got a very special guest with us today. Somebody who last time you were on, I don't think we'd shot a music video, or if we'd shot the music video, we hadn't released it.
Yeah, we were just getting ready to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we were planning. Yeah.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mikhaila Anderson. I'm the lead singer of The Radiant. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, we were very excited. I know when we were talking, Drew was getting his hair cut. And the first question you asked was, hey, did Brad ever do that thing without
I didn't
the
do
bags?
the bags. I just totally forgot. Not intentionally dodged it because I actually did want to do it.
You're lying.
You just totally fucking forgot.
No one wants to do that. I don't think you can last a week.
Oh?
Again, we'd have to be very clear about the terms.
I'll wear
and
a
what
fucking
constitutes.
body count and show you I
Okay,
didn't use bags
here's
for a week.
you could do entire month after Christmas, no bags, or week before Christmas, no bags, because I feel like they'd be similarly chaotic because of all the shit you got to get before Christmas.
Is a suitcase considered a bag?
I say yes.
Yes.
So when
Hands only.
okay, well,
Like,
no,
hands only.
So not a box?
so if
A
you're-
box?
No
Like,
carrying
no
receptacles.
containers? Man.
No carrying. Like you could maybe like you
I'm
use
down
a
with that.
shirt,
I think
but
you could-
whatever's
you
on
could
your
use your
person.
It's like essentially now I'm a Jew observing the Sabbath. Like I can't do anything.
Oh, no word. Nothing.
It's like, holy fuck. Just so everyone knows, because nobody watches these sequentially or at all, if you are tuning in, last year we had a what?
It was a would you rather. It was a would you rather
That's
never
where that came from.
never use a bag or not use a bag for a month or
Have penises for hands, because that's always what the second option is. And it's like have nipples on your back. I don't know what it was, but it was I can't use
it was
bags.
well, it was basically like you can't use bags, you can only use boxes.
Michaela
I think
doesn't
it was
like
it was dark. It was find, like if you had the cure for cancer, you had to like.
That was one of them. Yeah.
like say like your family would pass away
Oh, right.
if you like
that. Man, your memory is
told
fucking
cure for
good.
cancer.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they all died.
Yeah.
So
But-
that was
yeah.
yeah. Was that a card in itself? Like were those two
Oh,
separate
right. We had the
cards?
cards.
Oh.
That's right. We had the would you rather game
Oh, did we?
with the cards. Remember we got the if it wasn't called would you rather, it was like if you had to or something.
Oh, yes, if you had to.
Some knockoff bullshit thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It was fun. So anyway, the it came down to could I live without using bags?
Well, but part of
And
it
I
was
said yes.
the terms of like what constitutes using bags.
Yes.
Like, does your like if Kelsey brings you takeout or the takeout driver brings the takeout in a bag and delivers it to Kelsey, is that you, and you eat that takeout? Is that you using the bag?
No, because someone else put it in the bag.
And my contention
not
is
your fault.
Oh, interesting. So your interpretation is a bit different than ours. That's interesting.
because my interpretation was that it was kind of like a peanut allergy, like anything
Okay,
that
any bag.
touch if
ever.
the bag was used in any phase of your consumption of something, no go.
The way I phrased it was like you can't enjoy the utility of a bag all month. So that
you
means
couldn't throw garbage out in a garbage bag.
No can't use a garbage bag. No, utility. So if a driver uses a bag to transport your food, you are utilizing the utility of that bag. Can't use that. None of that.
So you have to. Well, what if he puts it on your step? Can you take the things out of the
No,
bag?
no. Because
No.
the driver
Used a warming
could.
bag.
Well, the driver could take you could request special on your skip the dishes. Be like, please do not put food in bag. Only carry with hands.
Attention, allergy,
Yeah.
bags.
Have a bag.
Or the simpler solution, you can only do takeout.
Yeah.
You can like eat at a restaurant, but you have to carry it out yourself because that's the only way to guarantee 0 bags were used in the production.
True.
And we thought,
So-
like you said, no boxes, but we thought boxes were okay.
Because,
Oh, I don't think so. Carrying receptacle.
Yeah.
but it's
Similar.
not a bag
I
though.
see.
A box isn't a bag.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a skeptic.
See, so here for me the interesting thing.
'Cause I feel like
Obviously,
boxes are
the
easier.
box flouts the whole bag thing. You can just really consciously use boxes. But number two, which she's being a stickler about, but we're also being a stickler about not letting people help me, which also flouts the shit out of it because I can just get an assistant to do everything for me.
Yeah. The assistant really breaks it for me. Like that makes
Yeah,
it way too easy.
Well, because then it's just like,
Just
would you
always
rather
take
have to
Kelsey
pay
with you.
someone to, or whatever? Yeah.
Or if you're banging them, then you can use.
Well, no, we said you can't use your bag.
right? Yeah,
No banging.
Yeah, right.
No bags.
Bagless.
Yeah.
Bagless chat.
You gotta
So I don't
tuck
know.
it-
Maybe
you gotta
I'll try
tuck
the
it back for
the
the week.
bagless January.
Start a new trend.
Start a new trend.
Bagless January.
Again,
for
a month is too
something.
long.
It's a long
That's why I was
time.
like week before Christmas, where it's like that's a lot of stuff you gotta.
Yeah, but I don't do Christmas, so that's easy for me. Like I don't do
Perfect.
He is a-
gifts or buy.
I was gonna say he is like we do a Christmas podcast, and he like you,
I
you
am
hate it a little
Grinch
bit.
Scrooge miser.
Miser.
Well, what's a chaotic time in your life where you need lots of things?
Well, I mean, it's less convenient for me if it's like, hey, let's book 3 music videos this week, and I can't carry any of the equipment.
There you go. So the next time you have at least 2 shoots in a
It's
week,
only worse for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it just sucks for us. And the
because
thing
you
is,
guys have to carry
Yeah,
more.
they have
and,
to carry everything.
and by my rules, he can't use any of the equipment because it was transported there via bag.
So you just get
Well,
a
no,
week
he could
off.
he could
Yeah, I
use
just-
no he like okay what so the suitcase thing, the box isn't a bag.
Yeah, he
Like
could,
the camera case, anything you would describe as a case versus a bag, right?
yeah, but could it be considered luggage? Because I think that we did settle on that if it's luggage, then it's
It's all because it's you would say get your bag even if it's a
yeah,
Suitcase.
That's the thing.
It's baggage carrier.
Yeah, baggage
at the
carrier.
no. This is
airport.
equipment. If
Because I-
anything, the opposite would apply because this isn't baggage; it's equipment. We're not traveling on an airplane. We're driving.
But some of the cases are very reminiscent of a
Suitcase.
like a carry-on.
I think
Imagine on a trip, just all your clothes just thrown in your car.
I mean,
like,
actually, I have done that. It's like
Oh, yeah,
put
just
everything
throw
in
shit in
old
the
co-op
trunk,
grocery
yeah.
bags and then throw them in the car, and then the bags blow open. And oh man, the days of living in vehicles. I'm so glad I don't have that anymore.
I remember last time we talked about this for like a good fucking half hour.
It's like
oh
my-
easy because
Like-
the it seems like such a simple thing on its face, but the ramifications are quite far-reaching.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of ironing out to be done, and terms need to be agreed upon. There needs to be a document with agreed upon terms.
Certainly.
So you want to know who Sandwich Dad was? Let us tell you
do.
about Sandwich
Who
Dad.
was Sandwich Dad?
Sandwich Dad is a local TikToker.
Okay.
He originally from Saskatoon, moved to Dawson City,
Okay.
lived there
18
for many years, then has moved back to Saskatoon somewhat recently.
So Andrew had become a fan of Sandwich Dad on TikTok. Then you didn't know he was Saskatoon right away. Not until later did you find out he was.
Well, I followed him on TikTok, and what he does is he makes sandwiches, but then he also like goes into the history of them and talks about like recently he's done a whole series on like the regional sandwiches of Canada. So he'll do like the sandwich from whatever
so
region.
This is like also an educational thing.
It is, but it's like one of those things where you're like, I don't care about fucking sandwiches, like
Oh, you do.
whatever, but you do. It's really interesting.
he has 280,000 followers on TikTok,
I believe that.
Yeah,
which is crazy. So he agreed to come on and he made us sandwiches.
it was super excited. We got to try one that he'd never ever even eaten before. This wild funeral sandwich from New Brunswick.
A funeral sandwich.
Yes, so like it's like a tea sandwich, what we would
You know,
most
like the
people would
little
call
triangle
Oh, yes.
sandwiches
Okay,
with
yep.
cucumber and
cucumber and cream cheese or ham and cream cheese and pickles and whatever.
Yep.
Called a funeral sandwich. Brad knew of them as that also in the Maritimes because you always have them at funerals, obviously. And it was cream cheese and maraschino cherry and butter on white bread. So you roll the white bread out, put your mixture of cream cheese and maraschino cherries on it, and you roll it into like a little spiral, and then cut it up.
You're supposed to
Bet
chill
it's
it.
pretty
chill
good.
it.
I bet it's pretty good.
It was actually quite.
I was not. I didn't think it was going to be good, but it was.
And you roll
Yeah.
the
You
white bread?
you
You
roll
roll
it
it
flat.
until it's
Just
flat.
regular old white bread.
Yeah.
Well, Brad sprung for like nice co-op bakery, like
Oh,
Good white
I bet you
bread.
could use like some sourdough.
Probably could.
That would be
add a
so
little bit
good.
extra flavor.
Holy fuck, sandwich dad, I'm coming for you.
yeah.
So it was really, yeah, it was
elevate them.
not the first time we've ever had someone we don't know on the podcast,
Only like the second
but
time.
only
though.
the second time.
Mm-hmm.
And
And the first time we were a lot
Like-
more. That was back in the real jank days, where it's like you could barely hear what anyone was saying, and like we had shotgun mics like up there trying to catch all the audio, and it's like okay.
Good luck.
and I don't know where they are anymore. There was a band called the Soul Hounds out of
Winnipeg.
I remember
Well, no, it
them.
was Silence Kit was the one that we didn't know at all. 'Cause
Oh,
we-
that's right.
'cause We knew.
We knew Elise.
Yeah, we knew Elise from Soul Hounds, and then they were on the
They knew
podcast.
Silence
and then
Kit.
I think
Yeah.
they talked to Silence Kit and said that we're nice guys or whatever. But yeah.
Oh yeah, they
little
crashed
did
in
they
our
know.
they crashed in our living room that one.
Oh yeah,
Weekend, yeah.
right.
Soft
And they're back
cotton
together
played
again.
With. Oh, they are.
Yeah,
Okay,
Soul Hounds is back together.
Oh, Soul Hounds is okay. I
Yeah, I'm
thought
not
you
sure
meant
about what Silence,
Silence
Kit
Kit
is up
broke
to.
up. Can't remember why. Some sort of political something on Instagram.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then, yeah, Soul Hounds though. That's cool.
Do you know many people from the Manitoba scene or from Manitoba?
Starting to know more.
Yeah.
Starting to know quite a few more. I find Breakout West brings a lot of like Manitoba musicians kind of to light, which is really great. That's like, but a lot in the country, more in the country scene. So like, I'm aware of like Boy Golden, Field Guide. We actually just showcased with Field Guide in Toronto last week, which was really awesome. Like but like a really amazing folk kind of country, like that kind of side of things from Manitoba. And then from the rock scene, yeah, I remember Soul Hounds, Silence Kit, because they were also from Winnipeg. Obviously Northern Royals.
Right, Northern
Yeah,
Royals.
Royals. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Who else? There's more, but like, yeah, I feel like Winnipeg has or Manitoba has just a really good scene.
I mean,
that
Winnipeg,
maybe
Manitoba, basically the same thing.
yeah, but a lot of them from Brandon, like Field Guide, and then like Boy Golden as well. They're from
really?
from Brandon, which is cool.
I didn't know anyone was from Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon's a populous place.
Yeah, if you're not from Winnipeg, then
I'm kind of
That's
a
like
little
the next
confused.
place.
yeah,
Yeah.
then you're from Brandon.
You're either from Dauphin, Brandon, or Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, that like really really good stuff coming out of there. Yeah,
My interesting factoid about Manitoba that I bring up every time somebody mentions Winnipeg. If you take the University of Manitoba out of Winnipeg and made it its own city, it would be the second largest city in Manitoba. 53% of every person of all people live in Winnipeg. Wow. Yeah, 53% of the entire province lives in one city. And if
That's
you took the
crazy.
university out, it would be the second biggest city.
how many people live in Winnipeg?
800 and some thousand.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a big city.
Winnipeg's big, and
and
the
there's only
University
like
of Manitoba
1.4
between.
million in all of Manitoba, I think.
Yeah, it's not much more. And I think the university, when I say that, I mean staff, faculty, students, everybody. If you took anybody who had involvement with the university, like directly,
Yeah.
and then took them and plunked them outside of the city, it would be the second largest city. Okay, so I heard you guys chatting a little bit briefly about this Toronto trip and your showcase.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, we went. So we went to this showcase called Come Together. It's put on by all the music associations in Canada, so like SAS Music, Alberta Music, BC Music, Music Ontario, all that. Factor Canada and SEMA, which is Canada's Independent Music Association. Yeah, it was really great. It was 2 days of just like a lot of learning, meetings for me personally. Just because I was the one kind of being the face of us and representing us out there. So we went to this Spotify roundtable session on the first day and just kind of like essentially bounced from different tables. First, we listened to a presentation on like what's big in Canada right now, genre-wise, and just kind of like what Spotify is doing to help those types of musicians, and then kind of learned about the platform itself. And then just, I got to sit down with different tables of people, one of which being the Spotify presenters. One table was like publishing and TV sync. One table was like agents and labels. One table was, I think, another like group of like promoters, labels, like that kind of thing. So yeah, it was good. Just a lot of learning. The next day, we were showcasing at Dynalone Records, so got to play there, which was really cool. It's just kind of this, the front is like a merch store, and then you go kind of towards the back where there's like a bar, and then you enter like this 80-person capacity little back room to play in, and that was really cool. It sounded great.
I think we were at that same one when we were at Music Week, Fran. Same location, I think.
Kind of like out of the way, like it's on Eastern Avenue.
I think maybe. I remember it being in a weird back room.
Yeah, there's also, the first day there was a showcase at the Baby G. We weren't playing that one, just like went and saw the artists. Yeah, and frick, like we do have just so much good stuff coming out of Canada right now. So to even just be included in that and have the opportunity to go showcase Saskatchewan's super alternative side was really cool, and just to kind of learn where our place is in all of that and kind of what that actually looks like. So that was really cool. Learned a lot.
What were your biggest takeaways, if you had to list a couple?
Biggest takeaways. Definitely do things because you love it. No matter what you learn from the people in the industry, you can always take something away from that, no matter what that is. Never stop trying, because sometimes that email just maybe didn't get through because these people get fucking 8,000 emails a day, kind of thing.
That's a good point.
And at the end of the day, like, yeah, just really focus on the music, because that's what's gonna shine.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how many people would have attended this thing, or what kind of size crowds were you in? Like, we're talking like hundreds of people?
No, like 100 people max, like at the fullest amount. And then we like headlined, and just like, you know, here, if you're a headlining act, I mean, it wasn't late, but it's a Wednesday night or whatever. So, you know, dwindles down to that like 30, 40 or so people. And that, yeah, just really interesting kind of to see how really you're showcasing to industry people.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and other bands. And it was really interesting that way. It wasn't just like, oh, we're going to go find some fans here. I mean, you do, like, inevitably, but.
Right, of course.
Yeah. It's more about making connections and, yeah.
I was just going to ask, did that affect how you guys approached the performance at all compared to another show, or did you kind of just try to treat it like
Yeah, we certainly didn't do fucking Radiant Bingo. I guess, I don't know if you guys have been to a show lately, but we keep doing this thing called Radiant Bingo. And it's super fun, but you guys have seen us play live. Like, every time Evan's like, I'm dead, and he's like sweating and like wipes his face, you got to take a drink.
Oh, I see.
Very
Every
nice.
time I trip over a cord, you got to take a drink. Every time Jordan like does this thing, you got to take a drink.
Right.
Like, there's all these little things, and I usually just tell people, and if you're not well hydrated or very drunk by the end of the show, you weren't paying attention.
Right, yeah. I see.
So didn't do that. Maybe we should have.
Yeah, you might have had a bingo cards before you start. You're going to need this for the show.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, 20 minutes. That's all we had. 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And
was that like 3 songs for you guys?
4. We've crammed in 4 somehow. It felt very rushed. Not even rushed. That's a horrible way to maybe frame that for what we just did. But it felt like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, how do you build what we do in 20 minutes?
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah,
give
you
you
guys
that
are a band. You guys
experience.
are a band that's like, it's akin to when you hear people talk about an artist that does an album. It's like, did you listen to the album? Did you listen to it all the way through how it was intended? Because you're going to get a better experience if you listen to it beginning to end in the order it was intended versus a song at a time or whatever. I think you guys are kind of similar in that, seeing that full set and the progression and building that you guys do. And
even in that same vein, so talking to one of the fellas at the event in one of these meetings. I was talking to Andrew earlier about it, but it's like speed dating. So you kind of go from table to table in these different meetings of 12 minutes. And one of the gentlemen there, he was like, so what's your plan for like your next releases? And I said, well, we got 2 singles in the bank, which New Year's, we're going to play 2 new songs for you.
Cool. I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Man, they're really good. Like, I don't often toot our own horn, maybe again to our detriment, but
You're excited
like
about
that
these ones?
next level.
What vibe are they like? If you had to compare them to some of your other songs, or
More
are they any?
towards Body Break and Clear.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, is what I would probably
Okay.
say. And then, of course, one of them kind of has like that commercial aspect to it. But yeah, one of the gentlemen asked me, what's your plan? So I said, we're going to release one in the spring, and then we'll probably release another in the fall. And then we'll hit the next album cycle in, the following winter, spring, whatever. And he was like, oh, why so far apart? And I think, why were your other albums so far apart? Like, how come you only have 10 songs in 5 years? And it's like, because we're not just going to pump out content for the sake of pumping out content. It's not what we've ever been about. If it doesn't feel right, we put it in the vault. We've always done that. And that, honestly, the one guy, he was like, that makes me want to listen to your stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, other people were like, well, all we want is, no, not all we want is content, but, they want to see that you're active and busy. But at the same time, it's like, again, going back to doing something because you really enjoy it. That's what we really enjoy. We want it to be meticulous and if it hits, great. If it sits with the weirdos, then fuck yeah, even better.
Right.
Quality over
but
quantity.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, we were even talking just before you got here. We were trying to figure out like when we shot. Maybe you can help us. Like, when did we shoot Smooth Parts? Like, what month was that?
End of January.
It was January. Okay, and then we released in March.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, we were kind of talking about like how smooth, like it's still the music video. It's probably going to be the music video I bring up for the foreseeable future of like the one that I felt went just kind of the best from beginning to end, from inception all the way to final product and release and like everything. And that's like, I feel so proud of that one, not only because of the final product, but because of the whole process of it. Felt so good. And it was like, it's the kind of project where you're like, this is why you do it in the first place, because it's such a pleasurable experience. And it's like
100%.
nothing was shitty in that experience. And
you're having laughs and making good shit with your friends.
yeah,
Well, and
it was
I remember that first meeting that we had. We met at the Hideout just over on Central. Hadn't really I knew kind of who you guys were, but we'd never actually met. I think we talked about it in that meeting where how have we been in these same circles and never actually interacted? But then we had that meeting. It was like right away. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Like, if we move forward with this is going to be like dope. And it was.
And but like, yeah, one thing I appreciate about you guys, and I think it's like we've worked with a lot of artists over the years, and they struggle with this sometimes, is the like having the next step planned out, where it's like they plan the recording and of the song and the mixing and that stuff, but then it's like with the release, it feels like they're just totally like, we have no idea what we're gonna do with the release, and it's like then sometimes it takes them way too long to release, and they don't strike while the iron's hot, or they release too much at once, and then people can't appreciate the single that was supposed to maybe have the spotlight for a little bit longer or whatever, maybe, and they're not able to market that single because they have to market an album rather than, you know what I mean? Maybe they didn't think it all the way through.
Don't give things the breathing room that maybe they could have
need. And it's like, it just felt like it was so nice with you guys that, and the same applies to videos, but it was nice with you guys that you were like, this is when we're going to shoot, we're going to release then. This is kind of what the marketing strategy is going to look like. This is how we're going to, it was, I don't know. We run into, I don't know. It's probably a little less than 50-50, but like I'd say 60-40, like 60% of the time people don't really have a plan. And then 40% of the time they have kind of a plan. That was another part of the Smooth Parts shoot that was so nice, was that you guys actually had a plan in mind. And yeah.
She said the title of the thing.
That's the song.
No, and like honestly, I can really attribute a lot of that plan making and kind of getting ahead in that way to Sask Music. I guess if you want to learn more about something, the only way to do it is to go through, at least for me. Like, I can read something in a book 10 times, but I don't know what I'm up against until I just do it. So with that, you know, I sat down with Kaylin from Sask Music, and he said, okay, so here's what that plan is going to look like for you. And up until that point, just kind of taking those skills and now being able to create those myself and for us. And it's sometimes tough because, like, you feel like deadlines, and you kind of take on a bit of that role. But
I remember very distinctly, I don't know if you had like a notebook or, I think you had a notebook with you.
I always do. I feel like fucking Elle Woods when she's like,
When we came to the house, and we
All
sat
the
down,
time.
like, I'm trying to get a feel for the vibe. And we've done this 1,000 times before, and like we're kind of meeting you guys, and then like you started to like get some like questions in, and I'm like, oh shit, like this girl's on the ball. Like they, all right, yeah, this is what's going on. Because sometimes it's like, yeah, let's do it. It's like, yeah, sick, let's do it. And then that's like basically the whole meeting's like, yeah, we'll see you guys when we go to shoot. It's like, okay, perfect. This is like, okay, what do we need to do here, here, and here? I'm like, I really appreciate this because I'll tell you
yeah.
exactly what we need to
oh,
fucking
great.
do.
Because, like, sometimes I don't know.
There are no stupid questions. It's like, how do you guys shoot it with a camera? What's a camera? All right, I'll tell you what a camera is.
Yeah,
I don't
what
care.
kind of camera?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck, maybe, and like maybe like that artist actually had some knowledge where they were like, no, I really wanted like this type of spec
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that's for me. That
Not
was
me,
like very
personally, but
That was that was very like refreshing.
Yeah, the whole process. And like, even we had that initial meeting, we talked about ideas, and then we're getting closer. Like, we have the dates roughly booked, and all three of us came and we met you guys at, is it Paul's place where the recording studio is? Yeah. So we met there, and there was kind of this moment where like we were kind of meeting a lot of the band for the first time. Everyone was like, a lot of the band is pretty reserved or quiet, at least around new people, I think. And we're like, everyone's very friendly, but like just kind of like letting us say our piece. And we kind of like blurt out the idea of like, okay, so we're kind of riffing on what we initially talked about. This is what we think. And there's this long pause where I'm like holding my breath. I'm like, are they going to like it? Or is it going to be like it was like the final test of like, is this the match I think it is? And when everyone was like, yep, that's even better what we thought. And it was just like such a positive response to that, like adaptation of the idea. I was like, okay, this is really going to be awesome.
Well, and I think that especially goes for particularly with anybody who works together for the first time. Yes, you were going to have some reservations. It's like, I could show you all the portfolio in the world, but it doesn't tell you that we're going to maybe extract. And sometimes, I don't know, I'm sure we have clients that they love the final product, but it's maybe not what they originally thought it was going to be, or there may be some small level of disappointment in a certain aspect of it, sure, because that's how our artistry works.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I find that once we get through the threshold of the first production with somebody, then there's kind of a sigh of relief for them. Like, hey, just like, except for like a few people who like are more wanting to be involved in the creative process. Sometimes now we have clients that originally would have been like a little bit more hands-on, or just like, yeah, like let's shoot a video.
I think a really good analogy that just from getting a few different bigger tattoos now, I think it's very similar to working with a tattoo artist, where you're going to get the best work when you come and you're like, hey, this is roughly my idea. This is kind of what I want, these kind of things. But like, I'm coming to you as an artist because I like your vibe and what you do. And I trust the fact that you're going to give me a rad tattoo based on my concept.
yeah, and you're gonna execute something that's in my idea realm.
And because you're an expert and a tattoo artist, you know what's going to look good. You can take the things about my idea that are going to translate well into a tattoo and do them. And even though it might not be the thing that I exactly thought in my head, oh, this is what I pictured in my mind, when I see it on my arm or my leg or whatever, it looks great because you trusted that artist and what they know.
I think that it's particularly with the Smooth Part shoot, what was very nice about how engaged everybody was that particular type of project.
You had to
had to have everybody on board. Like, everybody had to be pulling along, because for the three of us to try and strike out and do that project with like very little participation from the
What wouldn't have
artists
been possible.
would have been possible.
I also have to give a specific shout out to your husband, Jay,
Yes, absolutely.
because his
Justin Paul Ranos,
yes.
everybody.
Yeah.
his incredible
Oh, congratulations!
efforts, yes,
you guys weren't married when last Christmas, were you?
No,
No,
we
it
had
was
just
it was
gotten engaged.
yeah. Congratulations.
Yes.
Appreciate
But yeah,
that.
his work on the project was what not having to deal like normally when if we're building a killer room or whatever, that would have been like Brad and I specifically having to do all that while Fran was doing all the setting up the cameras and shit. And just the fact that we didn't have to build it or like tear it down on our own made that shoot.
I just remember
oh,
it's like, oh, he'll handle it. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Oh,
They're like, "Ooh."
well, hello, sir.
It's
He's my knight in shining armor most
Yeah.
days.
Exactly.
I can see that big time. Like to a degree, and man, just like what an excellent person.
I also just really like everyone was so on the same page. Generally, it's not. I guess it's not their artists' fault, but because they just don't know what goes into it, and it's like, oh yeah, you'll just build the set thing. It's like, yeah, I'll just build the fucking set thing. I really want to, and it's a lot of goddamn work, but we'll do it.
Yeah.
But this was like, oh no, we'll handle that. I'm like, oh well, thank
it's-
you.
And like I think about it, it's like I don't know. People don't know what goes into like especially building. Like
Yeah.
like that's a fucking lot of work. Like it's like even if it's like I often think about when Jay's like, oh yeah, it'll take me a half hour to do something, and then next thing I know, that I've learned, there's optimism in that, but
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
like a half hour is going to be like, an hour to maybe 2 hours, because as much as we are like, oh, it's super easy, but half of that, what he looks at as a half hour, just putting it up. Well, there's an hour and a half of getting materials together, loading everything in, measuring everything, making sure you're doing it all in the right spot so you don't have to do it fucking twice. And nobody sees that side of things. So the fact that people like, and he's like a professional. So the fact that people are just like, hello, film crew, who like, I mean, there's obviously professional set builders and stuff like that, but just like do this as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, oh,
You
Adam.
can't have that expectation.
It's like we're standing mixing blood in the bathtub. I'm like, oh fuck, now I gotta go get 2x4s.
And it's like, do you want, and again, like, I guess from my standpoint in that aspect too, it's like, yeah, sure, we could have hung some plastic up and made it look all shanty and all that kind of stuff. But Jay also has like a great vision. So if you tell him like, here's what we're doing, he's going to be like,
no, that like that.
I
Yes,
could make
that,
this happen.
that's why it's like they've already said it was so synergistic. It was so many people they really gave it their all, and it was like I even thinking about just the set build. It's like we went to go scout the location. We found it. We're like, this is great. We did some measurements, and then it was like at first you're like, oh, we could probably shoot it in this much space. I was like, no. It's got to be at least twice that size. Like it's got to be much bigger than that. Like you're never going to fit this much. So then you have those first thoughts. Like, what's it going to look like? We go online. We find like, well, we want it to kind of look like those shitty greenhouses that people built. You find a couple images. We sent a couple of reference images to you guys right away. Your husband's like, yeah, I think I what are the measurements? I got an idea. And then it's like, he just came with all the stuff. He had it all pre-measured. He had it all ready to go. Like, and also just like he is like the chillest guy ever. Like so chill, not stressed. He's like, where do you want me to put the
That's
stuff?
me in the relationship.
It's the most like amazing blend between, because there's chill and get nothing done, and then there's get stuff done but you're not chill, and this was like chill also very productive.
Yeah.
Which are like, this is fucked up. People aren't supposed to be like this. You're not supposed to be really calm and productive.
Yeah, every time I'd be like, where are you guys? Like, what's going on? Like, but time and all this stuff, he'd be like, stop, like, relax. Like, I got this. Like, he would tell me the same thing. Like,
Just chill.
I need to be like, oh, hello, sir, as opposed to like, I trust no one. I trust nothing.
But but your reservations, I think, were totally valid because you hadn't worked with that group, right? So like, it's the first time all
And
of us
a
were
lot on the
interacting
line
that
in
way.
terms of like,
Totally.
you don't know. And Jay also like talks about this too. Like, until you've had to do like spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, you can't let go of like how things go when you have all that like money, I guess, on the table as well. Like, you take so much more control over it, so much more like, but once you kind of like do it once, you're like, oh, and then you just learn that money comes, money goes, and all that kind of stuff as well. But you take everything so personal, I guess, like, because you just need it to go so well because we're putting so much into this.
This is the first time we and Mikhaila are speaking since the shoot. It was a huge falling out.
Yeah, right.
It was very.
No,
Sad.
I think one of the
distressing for everybody involved.
I think one of the things that's like positive about the music side versus like a strict corporate shoot is that people give a fuck, but then it also can be a bit of a drawback in terms because like what you're talking about with the money, where it's like as much as the creation of music and being a band is like this artistic personal thing, there's also this weird side of it where it's like you kind of got to take that out of it. This is a business. This is like this expenditure of like whatever. That's a business expense.
100%.
It's going to come back, and like it's this weird dance you have to do between like being really personal and like treating things like this artistic endeavor, but then also being able to do that and then bounce over to like, okay, we spent this much on a music video. It was expensive, but like
Oh man.
expense, whatever. And then like jumping between those two things is not easy.
I remember when I opened the salon for the first time, and like same thing, like I'd never spent money like that before, and to get like my first run of product and everything, stock everything up, I think it was something like $8,000, and I was like, what? And I took everything out of my bank account. I, in fact, remember going and getting an apron. And I had to pay because I didn't need an apron for my first day of work. Bought everything for the salon, no apron. Had to pay $2 change and then the rest on debit. And the woman didn't know how to do the cash. Yeah. And so she's yelling in the entire store, she'd like to pay $2 change and the rest on debit. Meanwhile, I'm feeling like embarrassed that like, oh my God. And I just opened this beautiful salon and like, I hope it all works out, and like just this panic. And then you realize, 3 years later, here we are still on the salon, everything's fine. And well ahead, and now you don't even sometimes blink when you have to do those things because they're just what you have to do.
Right. You get kind of in a good way. You get desensitized to. I mean, for us, the big thing is spending money on equipment. Yeah. And I remember the first 100%. Like going to Calgary, and it was like this weird mixture of like excitement and nervousness about dropping $10,000 in like a half a day, not even. And it's like ooh, all these new things to play with and do, and filmmaking stuff. On the other hand, it's like, oh fuck, we have to make $10,000, like we have to figure out how to make that back now. And
trying to make sure that you invested in the right pieces of equipment. It's like you constant back and forth of like, what do we actually need? What are things that like, yeah, that's cool, but is that going to make our product better at the end of the day? Like,
are we gonna or is it gonna be worth?
We could take this entire setup and redo it, and you would see the exact same finished product, but we could do it with $20,000 more of equipment. Like we could have more expensive tripods, and more expensive motors, and more.
Yes.
Like
we could take all functionally be the same.
Yeah, we could replicate the two scenes, and one costs $40,000 more than the other one.
I think like pretty early on, it did kind of become a thing where it's like all three of us have to be in on what we're getting. We can't leave one of us out. Because I remember we had this drone at the beginning that we spent money on, and we never were able to use it for a single project. And I'm not sure how much it cost. A couple $100?
Yeah, $500-$600, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't even that expensive.
Was it?
The big guy.
Six copter.
No, yeah, you're right. It was like $600 or $700.
I have no idea. It was like 8 years ago.
But it was like the first drone we ever bought, and
we got a little bit duped there too by the guy who sold it to us.
But yeah, it's like it was one of those things where it's like, had all of us been involved, the questions would have been asked that would have been like, we shouldn't buy this probably. But it was like, anyways, got that. But it was like, and then there was subsequently like there was like maybe 2 or 3 other events like that. But it's like since then, that we've been so on the ball. I think with like, are we gonna get the best investment, like
return on investment?
Sorry, yeah, for what we're getting here. And I always just love whenever we do get to the point where we have a little bit of extra in the bank. We're like, okay, we should do an equipment buy here, like update all our stuff. We do have this like month-long period probably where we're going back and forth and we write our wish lists, and it's like, is that what we need or is this what we need? What takes precedence?
Well, because and then there's also what earlier in our career everything was about utility, 100% utilities. Like, is this thing going to like more better products? And then now we're at a phase where we can do things for like some stuff can be sacrificed for a little bit more comfort
and like stylization.
Yeah, it's like we could buy this thing, or we could spend an extra $400 to get this thing and make our lives way easier.
Which work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but when push came to shove at the beginning, it was like always do the toughest thing. Like the more we can put on our own effort in, but still get the same result and cost less money up front, we'll do it.
It's like
We
if we're
don't care.
saving $500, but it's like 5 times the effort.
Yeah, we'll
do
do
that thing because it's saving $500.
And we've talked about this before. And I wonder what your opinion is on this, because it's like film industry. It's very easy to understand how this works, but I'm sure it translates to the music industry and probably even the salon to a degree. But are you? Oh, sorry. I thought you were doing that to like stop. Oh, no. Yeah, no worries. We've said this before. It's like when we began, it's like we had tripods and we had a camera. And we had to shoot everything locked off camera. Everything was pan shots. It was tilting up and down. And we very slowly, it's like once we got good at that, then it was like, okay, we felt comfortable. We can get our first Steadicam. And then we could start incorporating some Steadicam shots. And it was like one thing I really, I've enjoyed about our development as filmmakers is it feels like every piece of equipment that we have invested in, we earned it. Like we did the 2 years not being able to do moving shots. And we learned how to utilize a tripod to its fullest degree. And then we incorporated some moving shots. Or like even with the podcast, like we did our four whatever, how many years of shit audio so we could like figure out our skills as podcasters and like get that levied before we invested in mic stands and nicer mics and stuff. And I wonder like with the music industry or even with the salon is like, did you feel that a little bit, or does it feel more like you just gotta like go profesh right away, or can you kind of do more of a slow build?
Well, I think there's both ways, right? Because there is, and I'm maybe going to relate it to sports. Okay. So there's the athlete that can have the best equipment and all, like he can spend all that money on the best cleats, the best, I don't know, whatever. I'm not a big sports person, but you can have all the best shit, but you're still a shitty
like golf
player. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, spend thousands of dollars on clubs and then
you can spend
can't hit a shot.
All the money. Well, I don't know why I didn't just start relating it to golf, the one sport I play. That's fine. But you can spend all of that money and you can still be shitty. So, or you can learn to play with the fucking real woods. It's not even a driver. It looks like a 3 wood. My friend Jenna right now is doing that. And I think she finally just got like a regular sized, like modern day driver. But when she would drive, I'm like, where's your surface to hit that with? Like, it's like,
big.
Yeah, but she's like, man, I'm learning. I'm like, and just to have that gusto and to kind of like just earn those stripes as you go, I think that makes way more sense. And like for me with music, I hate to say it, and even with golf, like I've always been that, like if you look good, you feel good, and then you perform well. And it's unfortunate. I feel like hair is the only place I didn't do any of that. And
right.
I don't know if it's because it's like that real tangible thing for me in my life where like it's the thing that earns me my life.
Like it clicked with you, and like were you just like, I get hair, like
yeah,
you know what
always
I mean?
like always got hair, but in the way where I can cut hair with kitchen scissors and a toothless comb. Like honestly, it's one of those where like,
you don't need all the.
I've never needed. In fact, Jay had to like yell at me to get a Dyson blow dryer. I was like, I don't need a Dyson. My old blow dryer was so heavy, it was like hurting my wrist and everything. And I was like, I don't need it. I don't need to pay for the name. And he's like, we have 2 Dyson vacuums. We already have. Yeah. You like why? And like if you consider yourself, amongst the best stylists out there,
gotta have the equipment
gotta have the good
back it up,
right? And like, why the fuck? Why are you using toothless combs and a Conair? Like, not that I was using that, but just level wise. I don't know it. I don't know why with everything else in my life, whether it was music, I needed the best guitar. I needed the coolest pedals. Speaking very candidly, I have very little training in guitar, and I don't consider myself to be like, if you ask me what notes I was playing, I don't fucking know. Like, I really don't. I have a great ear.
Dave Grohl, he's doing pretty good.
Got a great ear and, perform well. So, but maybe that's it. If you really know what you're doing with something, you don't feel like you need the best tool. Like no matter what kind of blow dryer I have and what kind of brush, I can probably give you a really nice blowout.
Yeah, that we've said a similar thing where I like the verbatim to a degree. It's like we've said like if you feel like you can't, like, let's say you want to make a short film, for example, and it's like, if you think you can't do your short film unless you have
A red camera.
Yeah, it's funny. We've said this so many times that we always use those examples, but it's like, if you can't take your phone and go shoot that short film and feel like you can still tell your story the way you need to tell it,
The problem isn't the camera.
yeah, you're missing the fucking, like, it's like, yeah, you want to a degree, that thing will help and it will bolster your thing, but that's 5% of the project.
It'll elevate it.
Yeah, it'll elevate it, but that's going to be the 5% that maybe gets it in front of the people that are going to give you money, but that is not preventing you from telling a story.
Hey, that Robin Hood garbage movie, Guy Ritchie movie, was filmed on fucking Arri Alexas. So if the equipment was the thing that made the project,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Speaking of the Dyson, I bought Kelsey one of those Dyson like curler
Oh,
things.
the air wraps.
I bought an air wrap, and then we're cleaning out the house the other day, and she's like, we took one of our spare rooms and set it up as her like getting ready room, which is fucking ridiculous. But anyway, I'm like, how do you like that thing? I never really did. She's like, I don't really know how it works. I'm like, oh, good. It
You're
was
like,
$900.
You spent $900. Did you get like all the extra
It's
attachments?
got everything, like the maxed out full
it's
case,
good, man.
everything.
It's good.
Yeah.
Use your Dyson air wrap.
Yeah, it's like, have you used one?
Yeah, I have. Well, my Dyson dryer. I want to get an air wrap because it's like the perfect style because it's an all-in-one. You can dry and style. So right now, I get a beautiful blowout with my dryer. It fucking takes me 20 minutes.
What would you
Sometimes
charge
it's
for a
like an
lesson
hour.
to use a Dyson air wrap?
Oh, too much. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Come over. Come hang out
Yeah,
one day.
well, I should bring Kelsey
her
over.
have you seen her? Ever seen?
No, I
like,
haven't.
Oh,
it's
Jay's
amazing.
painting. It's all gonna change.
Ooh.
It's all gonna change.
But no, I think going back to the golf analogy, I think that's a really good point. And I don't know if, I don't know. People have made fucking music with garbage instruments and
Well, it's like that video of Jack White when he like put like 2x4s and like strung some shit together and then played like the most amazing songs. You're like, oh, okay.
yeah.
My
good.
favorite Nirvana song is a demo. Like, and to a degree, there's a Seether song that I love today. I'm a big Seether fan. There's a Seether song that I love. They did this like really lo-fi recording of it, and I fell in love with that version of the song. And when I heard the recorded version, I'm like, this is awful. Like,
Man,
this
I fall in
studio
love with some
version
of our
is
shitty
terrible.
phone recordings more than like our live or like the professionally done stuff. I'm like, where's the grit?
Yeah, it's like, and it's not to disparage the stuff that sometimes maybe needs a little bit more production, but it's like maybe there's room for both. You know, like it's like watching a found footage movie. It's a shot on
Or
shitty
early
8
Trailer
mil.
Park Boys.
Early Trailer Park Boys, like
Or like early South Park too.
Oh yeah,
Like
big
just
time.
shitty.
yeah,
But so good.
Yeah, does some of the comedy actually, is it elevated by the fact that it's kind of shit in terms of the animation? Does it actually like lean into it a little
true.
bit? I don't know, man. It's like maybe there is room for both. Like it doesn't need to be one or the other.
I don't have any more bourbon.
We have lots of like coolers and beer and stuff. If you're
Feel it cooler.
Yeah, so my apologies. I thought there was more bullet bourbon before I agreed to make everybody old fashioned. So that's my fault.
like-
Andrew's like, do we need bullet? I'm like, oh no, I'm pretty sure there's a half of 2-6 in the basement. And there was like this much left at the bottom. So that's my bad.
We've got Flatlander cider. We've got
Do, 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 do.
I'll try a White Claw tea.
There's also a cream soda seltzer
Try that White Claw tea.
or Truly's.
I haven't had the White Claw one.
These are pretty good. If you like iced tea and you're like a seltzer fan.
All right,
I want
let's
to
see.
congratulate you too on the SMA nod this year.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's like that's excellent. We're pretty butthurt over Smooth Parts not getting the music video nod,
Travesty.
but we'll live.
What do we know about video production?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know anything about even award nominations because we didn't have enough for an album. We didn't get the nod for the video. Up there for Rock Artist of the Year, though, baby. I don't know.
That's
Maybe
the
there's
thing,
something with the art and the grind.
I was so stoked when I saw that. Because like
Same.
to a
Yeah.
degree, you can't help it. But it's like we feel it's like, man, it feels so dramatic. But it's like we failed you. That's not the way to say it. I really was confident. Like I was extremely confident about Smooth Parts. I was just like, I don't know if maybe I was so biased because of the entire scope of the project. I like from beginning to end, I was so happy with all of it that I was just, I really wanted it.
It's also our aesthetic and our style too. So like, I'm going to buy into that personally because it's personally what I like as well.
True.
So like, there's certainly
also
a bias
small
going
things
in.
that I think that if people knew, it would maybe sway things, but it's like they don't know that we manually taped onto that TV and what a nice touch that ending thing was.
And how long it took. Like how much like planning and like
they don't fucking know that.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So
or just like little things with how long it took, or like the storyline in itself. Like if you don't pick up on all the different serial killers that got killed and the Dexter
you don't get the references. Yeah.
If you don't get it, then you're swine.
Yeah.
Did you find this? Because like I was really it made me very happy because the music video, obviously it's a music video like anything else. There's no dialogue present. But anyone I've ever interacted with get the bit right away. Like the second you nail Joel in the head, they're like, "Oh, it's killers who kill killers."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Yes, fucking awesome." It's like, and
But then you have like, I've had like so many people, I'm going to say not in the film or music industry, because maybe oftentimes when we look for feedback, we do look within our peer groups. So they understand what we're up to a little bit more. But like, again, I'm just going to say my clients, for example, they just go, "I don't get it." I'm like, "Okay, sick." Because what else do you say, right? Like,
True.
But then they're like we were saying, it's just like in the scope of what we like, what we enjoy, what we know.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
It's like, and it's like if you have to explain the joke, it ruins the joke, right?
Yeah,
So if you have to
exactly.
explain it, it's like, well, maybe this isn't for you, I guess. Then
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it's like it's kind of like people who have seen American Psycho and people who haven't seen American Psycho. And if you haven't seen American Psycho or Dexter, or you don't know about either of those things, you're like, it's gonna be, you're gonna watch
Swine.
people die.
Absolute swine.
I think it's still. I gotta say, like, I think the video would still be entertaining unless you hate violence and you decry violence because it's quite violent. But it's like, but I think the video by itself, like, you get to watch, like,
It's so campy. It's not violent.
every yeah, that's the thing. But I still have you run into people who like when the chainsaw scene comes up? Because we did it off screen. Like we had ideas as to do it more overtly. But anyways, we decided that it's like, no, we'll just do it off screen. The blood will hit. It's like they'll get the idea. Because we were also worried about like we don't want to sick you guys with a product where it's like, who the fuck how do we market this? Because we don't want
so
to see
violent.
arms falling off of bodies.
I did.
Well, yeah, but we were trying.
Maybe
to be,
we didn't take it far enough.
That's
maybe that's the problem.
But we were trying to
marketed
be
as this extreme like snuff music video.
We like to a degree we were trying to be conscientious because right off the bat, I think we talked about the tone, and we are like, we need to hit that tone that it's like it's funny or sorry, it's violent. And we're like the serial killers, but it needs to be be a little silly. Like it needs to be. That's what's gonna help people watch it from beginning to end. Because if it's just like overt violence right at the beginning, you're just gonna lose a bunch of people. It needs to have a little bit of comedy in it so that people want to watch it all the way. And yeah, I don't know, but I ran into people who they would get to the chainsaw scene, they would still be like, "Oh no," and it's like it's all off screen, like you're not seeing anything, but it's still they picture it. They it's like you ever seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one?
Yep.
It's a very famous scene. I think I might have brought it up in the 12 podcasts already, but there's this scene that people all think they've seen where Leatherface takes a person and he picks them up and he jams them on a meat hook. And if you ask people who've only seen the film once, they'll say, "Oh yeah, you watch the meat hook go right into their back." You never see it; it's off screen. You see it, you see a pickup, you see an expression, but the way they shot it was so visceral that it's like people are like, "It's so fucked up." You watch. Why would you want to watch a meat hook go into somebody's back? And like you never see the meat hook even enter their body. It's fully off screen. And yeah, it's like that's good company to be in, I guess. Like for people to have a similar visceral reaction to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'm just like, I'm just thinking of people like, "Oh, you don't get Smooth Parts." It's like, okay, well, you like Rap God Eminem music video. It's like you have no idea what's happening. You just like it because it's Eminem. Like you don't get the Max Headroom or understand any of the references in that. But he's going like yeah, bada, and then so you're like yeah, I'm fucking sold. Whatever. It doesn't matter what the content of the video is.
It's true.
Like
I was so stoked when we sent you guys the first cut, and
That was a special cut. The only my two, a bit of a tangent, but the two cuts I was most excited to show people were first was the Wasteland cut that we did, where it was supposed to be one music video, and the first day of shooting ended up being like its own video, and it was like showing them that cut. Because that cut ended up basically being the final video, so that cut was like special, exciting to show, and then the first cut of of Smooth Parts was like, man, I can't wait for them to see this because it just.
Well, I'm looking forward to working with you guys on the new tracks music
that's very
video.
good to hear.
Oh boy, we have such a fucking.
I hope you have a
plot planned out already. Like at least me, Jordan, and Mike do. We were like just laughing in a cab about it, like when we were away last week, but in a way where it's gonna be like way more like nose. Like I want to do like maybe more nose on the head or nail on the head, nose on the head. That's very
that
deliberate.
works too, yeah.
Very deliberate,
no,
but
wait,
like
but
more
there's an
nail on the
expression
head
with the
it.
nose.
Yeah.
On the nose.
On the nose.
Oh,
okay, yes, on the
you've
nose.
combined.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
You're
Talk
gonna
about-
you're gonna nose the
Talk
male
about
on the head.
Trailer Park Boys. Hey,
Yeah,
Rickyisms.
Rickyisms.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Nose on the head.
Yeah.
That's a new
Trinity's
one.
at this age where it's gorilla see, gorilla do.
Oh shit! But yeah, just really excited. And of course, I'll send you like when we maybe do it. I'll even like send you the lyrics because there's like there's just like a lot of cool, weird imagery in there. That's I can't tell you too much because you just got to come hear the new song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
of course,
totally,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I was gonna ask way back when you were talking about the Spotlight because you guys said you played 4 songs. Did you play either of the 2 brand new songs?
We played no, we didn't. We
Either of them?
actually like battled with that. We wanted to maybe play this one. We're not tentatively calling it anything because Jordan says stop screaming out names at jams when we write something because then it becomes the name of the song and it makes no fucking sense and it's this placeholder. But we're calling it Art Kids. But we thought about playing that because we had it really down. But again, with the only having 20 minutes and all that kind of stuff, we were like, okay, well, let's just play what is most commercially friendly. And kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, did the realm of what we were doing with that showcase kind of affect what set we played? Yeah. Oh yeah, we played really commercial. So our set was semi-climactic, tentative, 9 a.m. and Smooth Parts. So I would say our most like commercially friendly.
Well, and you also want to play songs
Those are all
that people
bangers,
can.
yeah.
They're all
super
bangers.
Yeah.
And you also want to play songs at an event like that. I can see why you'd want to play something
Right.
that someone could then look up on Spotify and
Yeah.
see.
But then when I kind of saw what all the other artists were doing and then kind of again going back to just doing what you love, not that I don't love all of those songs, but I'm like,
Especially Smooth Parts.
right? I'm like, fuck, we could have just gotten like weird and played this Art Kids song. Some other, like one of the other gentlemen, Field Guide, he played like this new song he wrote. He's like, wrote this on the road last month and just, I want to play it for you because I want to. And he actually just said that. And I was like, what? You can do whatever you
can do
want.
that?
Oh, what?
Yeah, I guess
I was
part of it
duped.
is
No, I'm just kidding. but-
like selling an image, maybe.
Which
a bit.
shit, yeah. It goes
Yeah.
back to looking good, so you feel good, so you
Right.
perform well.
and
so-
kind of
Right.
dancing in that world of like, I'm an artist, but I'm also a brand and a business. And like balancing, like, how do you front a brand and a business while still maintaining integrity and like personal connection as an artist. And like that's, I think, probably common to like any art form that you're trying to commercialize, and it's a thing that we have to struggle with on our in our own ways. And I think that's what's like so unique about being a creative entrepreneur versus being just like having like a hair salon or having like a storefront of some kind. Like you don't have to wrestle with like, is it like within my artistic integrity to charge people for this can of whatever? It's like, well, no, like person wants, you run a restaurant, like they're hungry, they want a burger, like here's your burger. Like,
Yeah.
it's not the
Maybe
same
you're
level
not
of.
charging,
One thing, like,
10
at
bucks too
least,
much or
like with
whatever.
hair, I do notice, like, it's very similar where, you know, there is no cap. Like, if you feel like you're good at what you're doing, like, it is totally up to perception. And
Oh yeah, people pay what they're willing to pay,
fuck
right?
yeah, like,
Yep.
it is very interesting. Like, you could throw a clipper at someone's head and put just like a hole and someone's like, I'll pay $80 because you gave me a great experience or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Perception of value is huge. Yeah.
yeah, huge. And maybe that, I don't know. And maybe that just goes to show how nothing's real. It's all arbitrary. It's just a ride, man.
Well, if you look at
There
like
is a good dose of that.
all the tests they've done around, especially I think it's wine, but like any alcohol where it's like all these fucking pretentious reviewers, and then they swap bottle like various different versions of like blind testing them, or like put cheap wine in an expensive bottle or cheap vodka in an expensive bottle. They invariably are like, oh yes, this expensive Grey Goose is superior to this whatever. And it's like, no, in reality, it's just Smirnoff in a fucking Grey Goose bottle. And you're fully just Grey Goose like brand dick riding on that because it's what you're supposed to like. And if you say anything other than the expensive, hard pivot here as we kind of wrap up because we had such a great turnout.
Actually, hold on, I just want one quick
please.
thing I want to talk about. I'm talking a little bit about the industry, and this is obviously a little bit different because this is a much bigger artist. But one thing that we filmed, there's a fundraiser in Moose Jaw every year called Homestand, and they raise money for youth mental health. And this year the big thing was they had Corblund come in. He actually headlined, and I'm like, I fucking love Corblund.
Yeah.
And of course, at the end of the show, everyone just wants him to play Long Gone in Saskatchewan. Like all they fucking want him to do. And Corb's just like, no, I don't want to fucking play that, so I'm not going to. And part of me was like, fuck you, I want you to play this. And then part of me is also like, I respect that. You don't want to play it, and you don't have to. And then he actually played some new song of his, which is about MMA fighting, which was fucking awesome.
What? So Long Gone to Saskatchewan, is that just like I played it so many times, I'm just so sick of it type deal?
I also think it's subverting expectations of like,
Yeah.
I don't need to play this every single time I play a Saskatchewan venue. Like,
Well, I also imagine as an artist a little bit, I get how it would be like Green Day goes to play a concert now. They've had however many albums since American Idiot. Everyone's like, just play the entire American Idiot album. It's like, man, like we have many, many songs and multiple
Amy
albums.
Winehouse literally killed herself for that reason.
Yeah, right.
Drank herself to death because she's like, I don't want to do back to back. I want to sing jazz with Tony.
Yeah.
Like,
I told you guys I know I've told you too, this either story I have. So I went to Boonstock. Did you ever hear about Boonstock back when it was a thing?
Did you go when a Perfect Circle played?
Yes, were you there?
No, but a lot of my friends went, and just apparently it was amazing.
Hey, Perfect Circle was unreal.
Is that where you got knocked out?
Yes, that's where I got knocked out cold at 5-finger death punch. Knocked out cold and it was a sucker. It was.
There was a video of it apparently.
I'll tell that story right after. It's not a very long story. After Perfect Circle's also a story though. I'm so glad you brought that up. Do you like Perfect Circle?
Yeah, I'm going to go see Sasanta in April. A Perfect Circle,
Wait,
Primus,
I feel like you and I have talked about
Pussifer. Yeah, we talked
Tool
about
of Pu-
Pussifer
yeah,
and all.
okay.
They said you
Pussifer,
guys
yeah.
are speaking a
You're
different
one.
language.
I always get on this podcast. I always get so excited when people because I don't. They don't
Talk
like.
about
They
Tool,
don't.
talk about
They don't
Tool.
like Tool and Pussifer and
And,
Perfect Circle at all. So
like,
I
I
always
like
really
Pussifer.
enjoy
I
that.
like Pussifer. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I like Tool,
But yeah, so I haven't. The only one I've seen live is Perfect Circle. I want to see Tool live really bad, and I would kill to see Pussifer, but I feel like that happens very rarely. So except
Check the dates. Sasanta, they're doing northern dates.
yes, I will.
Well, not in Canada, but
It's
in the
wild that
States.
Tool is also touring regularly now. It's like a weird. I felt there was like 10 years where it was like they'll never tour again, and it was like I don't know, weird. But anyways, so first Perfect Circle, really cool. If you know the song, Counting Bodies Like Sheep to the Rhythm of the War Drums, really long-winded title. There's like this crazy sound hit in that song it's just very cool to listen to. But you'd wonder, like, how do they do that live? Because it like, do they do it like Imagine Dragons, where they don't try to replicate their electronic sound, and then they sound terrible live because they can't replicate these weird sounds in the recorded versions? And then it's just the guy's voice, and you're like, ooh, that's no good. It's not. It's great. On stage, all of them simultaneously, and I'm sure there's like a lot of fuckery going around, but all of them raise their arms and then just all hit their instruments at the same time. And it's this beautiful, and Maynard like stomps on something at that time. And that's what creates the sound in that song. And brilliant. Like, I remember seeing it being like, this is like the coolest thing I've ever fucking seen. And the lights were all timed and whatever.
That group of musicians is also incredible at making electronic instruments not seem like that's what they're playing.
No,
Like
that's
way
the
more
thing.
synthy, way more like I'm gonna call it a beat pad just because I don't know what else to call it off the top of my head. But yeah, just a lot more in that realm where like electronic drum kit sounds like.
Yes. And I remember seeing that and being blown away because I'd loved that song for a long time, and seeing it live was like a religious experience. And anyways, so my See Their song quick, like we were talking about like an artist not wanting to play something necessarily. And Sean Morgan, I remember, so they're playing their set and then they get to Broken, which is like, whatever, he sings that with Amy Lee. And they had broken up, I think maybe 3 or 4 years before that. And he sang the first lyric and then he put the mic on the stand and then he turned it towards the crowd and then all the mics were turned towards the crowd. And then he went and just fucked off. And then they played, and the crowd sang the entire song beginning to end, and he didn't sing a single verse of the song because he's so like it was such an emotional like I hate that this is my biggest song. I don't want this to be my biggest song.
Oh, that's cool that they just did it for him.
It was and the
that's
crowd did it
powerful.
like and literally beginning to end. It was wild to see, and it was very cool. Anyways, and now very quickly my Five Finger Death Punch story. So there was a couple bands there that were a little heavier than the other bands. Five Finger Death Punch was one of them, and I really enjoy Five Finger Death Punch. There was a mosh pit that started, very, very large. I was young at the time. I couldn't legally drink. I was 16, I think. I could drive. And I remember what we did to drink was like one of us got because they had stamps. Like, what a huge festival to be using stamps, but it was stamps from what I can remember. Or maybe it was bracelets. But anyways, we either did the old, like, while somebody's stamp is still wet, like, go and smush it on their wrist so that you can get in. Or it was like we found bracelets and then on the ground that people had lost. And then it was something like that. Like, we janked it together. And I remember a guy came up to us to ID us. And there's 3 of us. It was me, my friend Thomas, my friend Robert Lech. And he ID'd my 2 friends who were older than me. Didn't ID me and said, no,
like,
you're
good.
clearly 18. Because we were in Alberta. You're clearly 18. I'm like, what? Whatever. And so I got through there. Anyways, Five Finger Death Punch sitting at the edge of the mosh pit. And there's a video of it somewhere. I wish Thomas was here because he can attest to this. And you can just see in the video, you can see the corner of my head. And I'm like cheering and I'm singing to the song. And you see this guy from one side of the mosh pit. And he looks at me and he like points at me. And then he just starts walking to me from one side all the way to the other side. And you just see him, and I'm fully oblivious. Don't think anything of it. And he just like, as he gets closer, he winds up. Boom! One right in the middle of my face. And just fully cold knocks me out. I wake up like, I don't know, probably like 2 minutes later, but like way far away from the mosh pit. They're dragging me away to get me awake. Anyways, only time I've ever been knocked out cold. But yeah, Woonstock was very eventful for me.
And ever since then, he's been loud and aggressive, and his personality has totally changed.
I can't remember.
He was a quiet young man before that.
I can't remember things good no more.
So wrapping things up, another would you rather might open a whole can of worms, but we're gonna go for it.
I like it.
So would you rather only be able to communicate in emojis, or never text again? Never be able to ever text again.
I could do emojis. I feel like I communicate like that anyway via text.
I'm trying to think of like
Both forms.
No,
Both things.
only no. You can't speak anymore.
just a happy.
Only emojis is how you communicate.
Oh, not just on the phone. Oh,
Only-
never text again. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I think never text again.
No, I need to be able to talk.
'Cause
I'll
I
kill
can
myself
call.
if I
I
can
can
talk.
phone, yeah, you phone call.
If you couldn't hear the sound of your own voice,
I'd
you'd go
do kill me.
crazy.
I would kill you.
Yeah, I
I
need.
feel like with just how people communicate nowadays, though, it's tough because they want you.
to text.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I do too.
I'm a pick up the phone and call guy like 9 times out of 10.
I'm neither. The phone gives me anxiety just in general.
Doesn't matter if it's text or phone
Nope.
calls.
I go back and forth. I really don't appreciate when somebody somebody makes a note of calling me when it's like you could have very easily communicated. If you can't, because there are certain things that are easier to communicate via phone call. But recently, not going to call anybody out, but I got an email from somebody, a client, who said, you need to come into where I work so that we can discuss this thing. And I was like, really? Like in my head, because I know
sure about that?
I know what the project. Yeah, are you sure? I knew what the project was, so I'm like, I just can't imagine anything so serious that you couldn't communicate it to me over the phone. So, and I'm usually not a big like hard boundary setter guy, like, and people don't usually fuck with me in that way, so I usually don't need to set boundaries. But I'm gonna send an email back and say this is like super out of my way. And they also said for a 15-minute meeting. And I'm like, I don't want to drive 25 minutes for a 15-minute meeting.
Was a phone call not an option?
No, that's the thing. It was.
fully
It
an
absolutely
option.
was.
work.
Absolutely
Oh,
was.
okay.
I said in my email, I'm like, or a video chat. Like if you need to see my face so that I can read your expressions, because that's very important. Like I'm totally willing to video chat. That doesn't bother me. And then it was like the email back was like, oh yeah, a phone call. But then there was like a little
Hesitation.
There's a little snippy bit about like, hey, because you're so kind of like a you're so busy thing that you can't come in. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, yes, phone call. And then we did the phone call. 30 seconds it took me to be like, oh yeah, I fully understand what you're saying. Like, I agree.
In person, so
I agree. A phone call definitely. Like texting, it would have been difficult to communicate. But man, I got it right away
It
through
was
a
a
phone call.
power move. It was a power
Bit
move.
of a power move, yeah.
I don't think so. I think it was
I
just
it was a
on
power
that
move.
guy's stance, he's like, I need you to hear so that if this doesn't go my way, I can make it.
But yeah, it was funny because it was one of those things where it's like there are degrees of separation, and I agree that some things require texting, some things require a phone call, some things require meeting in person.
This was
But
not one of
Like a breakup, right? Like, don't text or call. Should probably do that. in
Andrew's
person.
grandfather faxed his grandma.
Really?
Divorce via fax.
What? I'm not coming home. With
I
all
don't know.
emojis somehow.
I'm probably misrepresenting a little bit, but yeah, that's what I've heard. Is that it was a fax?
Wow.
Yeah,
I hope-
divorce papers.
I
down
hope
the
this
fax
finds
machine.
you well.
I don't think there was any. I think it was just
Dear
divorce.
wife,
I think it was just divorce papers, and then
Served.
see ya.
Like, imagine hearing that sound and you have to slowly watch it print out.
Like,
You're like, what is this? coming out
Handwritten,
that
too?
It
Like,
requires a signature. And then as it like, you're like, okay, I'm reading it backwards.
Yeah,
All
right, because you're getting it from the bottom.
yeah.
I love it. It's like, and they had no
I got-
idea, like totally blindsided.
I got
Like,
dumped via
full-
email once. That was special.
That's rough.
Yeah, it wasn't rough. It wasn't like a surprise, but the email part was a surprise, not the messaging in it.
The one time I got dumped, it was in person, and I'm like, that's integrity, baby. Like,
I never got dumped. Woo! Got
waited-
married, never got dumped.
nice. Nice.
Yeah, I'm a heartbreaker, not a heartbroken.
It's not
Okay,
great.
Andrew,
It's
give
not
us
I've
great.
been
another.
dumped
Would
over
you rather?
text.
Okay,
That's all
let's-
right.
Over text?
Yeah, it's okay. But then that was like I've only really like had one boyfriend, and then I had Jay, so pretty much same thing.
Pretty
And
good.
like, can I even call the first one a real boyfriend? It was 3 months.
Well, that's nothing.
Yeah. And then I said I love you, scared him away.
Too much.
Anybody who gets married,
God,
to
if you
their-
hadn't
their
said
first
that, how
significant
would
Oh,
other-
I
would
bet
you?
you. Like, no, and then I think he was like, "You're doing drugs," and I was like, "But I'm not. I'm only 17." Yeah. And then I was like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna do drugs."
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not. I'm only 17.
Oh, you didn't have a second one prepared. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I thought you had one.
I thought you had one chambered.
Okay, would you rather wear the same pair of socks for a
Already
year
A year.
or the same pair of underwear for 3 months?
Socks. They would smell so bad, but I can't.
Okay, now here we go
Oh.
to like, what are the conditions? Because can I go without? Like, can I go commando or sockless? Would I feel
I
more?
think
that's
you
a
have
good
to.
question.
I think you have to wear them.
I think you have
Wait,
to
wait,
wear
what
them.
are we? Wait. Sorry.
So I say socks because
Any you have to wear. You don't have to wear them all the time, but any time that you would wear socks or underwear, you have to wear it.
okay, well
Yes.
then I think I say socks as well.
Socks.
You
Wear
have
6
to.
month socks? Oh yeah.
No,
Especially
A
from like
year,
the
the same
female
pair.
Oh, yeah,
perspective,
sorry.
I'm like old underwear is not hygienic.
You would
Yeah,
get,
yeah,
you would
that's
get
tr-
disease. Like I can't imagine. Like
I'm pretty sure that mine would probably just disintegrate after the first month.
yeah, it would.
like
Absolutely.
You get biodegradable underwear. They like start to wear away on your skin.
No socks. If you say underwear, you're fucked up. I don't. You're either the most
smell so bad.
you're either the most hygienic, and then it's like, where are you from? And I have other questions, but no.
I mean,
Socks
if you're-
is the clear answer.
if you're one of the master race of people who has a bidet, you'd be a little bit better
Oh,
off.
but it's still you can't bath with
No,
Not
it's
three-
sweat.
No.
You got sweat.
No, like you said, I agree with Andrew. It's like you can take your underwear off for things that.
Yeah, you don't have to wear it constantly.
Yeah, you can't. You don't
It's
have
just
to wear
any
it-
circumstance in which you would normally
wear underwear.
wear
You
underwear.
have to
You
wear
have
that
to,
pair
or
of
same
underwear.
with socks. Like
Yeah.
I don't wear socks around the house, so like I wouldn't have to wear socks around the house.
Yes.
But anytime I leave or whatever, I can't.
You have to wear
No.
that pair of socks.
So what
Yeah.
if you're someone who like doesn't wear underwear?
Well,
is,
then it's an
easier
easy.
to
It's an
answer
easier to answer question.
Well,
yeah,
then-
yeah.
No.
Then you go with
think-
underwear because you don't wear them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that it's like, well, you have to wear underwear then. That's the,
True, the same
Right.
pair. That's true. The same pair.
Then you have to
Oh,
wear
okay.
that.
Well,
But
well,
then
that-
they would be like, fuck that.
then
They
we'll
would
pivot-
answer socks.
No, then
Any
we'll-
reasonable person is
Then
gonna
we'll
answer
pivot and
socks.
say you have to wear the same pair of pants for a year
That's
or for
easier?
3 months.
I feel like that
With
doesn't
no
gross-
underwear though,
that
it's the
doesn't
same
gross
thing.
me out as much. Well, no, because there's more.
That's the thing.
Space.
I'm also thinking as a guy.
Underwear is like really.
Or
This is
as
a very different male versus female. This is a very different.
yeah, like a man, you
thing.
could just get like really baggy boxers
No,
that don't
you
really
can't
touch,
play the game
and
like
then
that.
just shower constantly.
It's got to be underwear that you.
Wear
It's
now?
got to be like your favorite pair of underwear. That's the underwear that you have to
Oh,
wear for
that-
3
Your
no,
months.
it's got to
lucky
be
pair.
socks. It's got to be socks.
It's got to be socks.
Gotta be
That's what I'm
socks.
saying.
It's got to be socks. And like whatever, I'm just wearing boots and then taping the top of them so they don't stink.
That's the thing. We're not trying to fuck you over. It's like choose your favorite pair of underwear, the ones that you think are the most comfortable. You got to wear that for 3 months straight. That's
Yeah.
awful. Socks is clearly the right answer. Like it's not a contest.
This is one of those ones where there is a
Oh,
right and
this,
wrong
this,
answer.
this is when Norwex needs underwear. You know, that like
Oh, with the-
silver infused
Yes, yes.
antimicrobial.
Yeah. It just like if you're sock footed, just do your best to keep your feet nice and cool at all times.
yeah.
Like just try and have
Yeah,
nice,
my-
cool feet.
My feet don't stink. Like, okay, all feet stink a little bit. Mine aren't like real bad. Like some people have like terrible foot odor.
We call them dogs.
Yeah. Ooh.
What did I?
Terrible foot odor is.
Amy hates feet. This is kind of funny. Amy hates feet, but she constantly asks for foot massages, and I'm always like, this is fucked up. Like you can't ask for foot massages and then hate feet, and you'll never massage my feet. Like
That's
is,
not how this works.
I know, but and
a
then
little unfair.
But like yesterday or the day before, recently, she was like, okay, well we're sitting on the couch, so you feet on you, my feet on you. I'll massage your feet while you massage my feet. And I just couldn't. I just kept because she doesn't like feet. I kept calling them. Do you want these dogs? Do you want to hear these dogs bark? Like,
My-
I think I saw in a Garfield comic that somebody referred to their feet as their dogs.
My sister
and I think it's the best.
My
thing
sister
ever.
also hates feet, and then she was sleeping on the couch one time, and I just hovered my feet right over her face. And then as soon as she opened her eyes, I just planted the palms of my feet in her face. And then she baked a freshly opened, unused tampon into my pancakes at breakfast the next morning. And then the feud ended there. I was like, "This is fucked. I don't want to be part of this."
Oh,
anymore."
let's
That
let's
was a good reprisal.
let's rewind for a second here. Did you say the palms of your feet?
Yeah, what would you?
Soles, I guess.
Soles
yeah,
of
I
your
guess,
feet.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just like the palms. Of your, like what are we working with down there? Palms of your
Well, the
feet.
palm. It is.
The thing is, like,
Like gorillas.
to your
You know,
credit,
it's
I
the
knew
thing-
exactly what you were saying.
You know the fingers of the feet. right?
Yeah.
So it's the thing beneath the fingers.
Well,
of
in
your feet.
German, gloves are just called like the literal translation is hand shoes.
So foot palms.
Foot palms. Probably the German word would literally translate to foot palms. Yeah.
Hand feet. That's like
No, that's it.
we used to have
Afrikaans.
we used,
Handschoenen. That's
Yeah.
what it is too. It's hand shoes.
An
That's what it
animal
is.
has the like where their feet are also hands.
We had a friend in high school whose name was Riley Hancock, and I used to call him Riley Foot Pussy.
That
It
poor
was his
fella.
alter ego. It
Yeah,
was,
Riley Hancock and Riley Foot Pussy. Well,
my gosh.
Mikhaila, you want to tell us a little bit about what's coming up for the Radiant?
And where people
Where
can
to
find
your
you. And,
music and
yeah.
give us the rundown.
Yes, you bet. So next up for us, we are playing New Year's Eve at the Capitol Music Club here in Saskatoon. Come ring in 2024 with us. I have some really great stuff up my sleeve for an epic countdown.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, very excited. It's going to be a good time. I keep calling it a portal. Portal's going to open. New year, we got some new music coming for you as well. Got 2 new singles kind of in the gate. Release those kind of one at a time, like I had mentioned earlier in the podcast. And in order to find us, we're everywhere you stream your music. YouTube is where we primarily promote Smooth Parts. So come support this entire group of people on YouTube, Smooth Parts, The Radiant. You can find us everywhere online at The Radiant_band. That should bring you to all of our social media, including that YouTube page.
Excellent.
That was good, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much
I'm
for
like,
joining
it's
us.
like we're ordering breakfast. And what do I need to tell you what kind of toast I want?
Is there anything
And thank
else
you
that
for
I'm
the
forgetting?
charcuterie
Yeah.
I
board.
was gonna say there's
Yes, thank you.
like on your link tree, Bandcamp, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I think I have those are the ones I have on the TV. Is there one I forgot? I've been trying my best to like pick the ones that I feel like
Bandcamp,
are...
YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah,
I feel like
That's
that's
kind
it.
of YouTube.
I mean,
That's kind of the things.
Facebook and X you're going to
X.
find with the same
On it.
Instagram
Oh yeah,
handle. So, yeah, no.
Fucking Elon. Fuck you, Elon.
fucking X.
You guys see what's happening with X right now and how many huge corporations are backing out on ads and sponsorship for them? X is going to be on the verge of like bankruptcy soon unless they start that pay-to-use subscription. Like Warner Brothers, Disney, Sony, everybody. Like you're not going to see ads for movies on X anymore. You're probably not going to see ads for video games on X anymore. Like huge.
Well, don't check them out on X, then try and find a more reliable.
So
Yeah, I
find
was
us
gonna say,
on
I don't have the
Instagram,
X link here.
Facebook,
Check them out.
YouTube,
All these links.
Bandcamp,
And-
Spotify at the Radiant_band.
And most importantly, if you're going to take one thing from this podcast, it's fuck you, Elon Musk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mikhaila,
Thank you for
joining
coming.
us.
Thanks, Mikhaila.
You're always a pleasure to have on.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas.